Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your daily Tesla report for Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Let's take a look at the charts. I'm going to jump right to this one. Buy signal after over a week of hesitation. No downside continuation, but just consolidation. We closed clearly on Tuesday above the 353.03 even, descending two-thirds speed line, in combination with also closing the day above the 351.39 to 352.06 area. And that is on the weekly chart. Combination 50% upside retracement from the December all-time high to that more recent April low, 351.39, and also a rising channel top is about 2-year structure, a little over that, 2.5 year that we closed back above. Now, we closed above the 352.05 channel top back in November. That resulted in a blast almost to the 488.53 channel top before we cascaded south again. Now, we are back above it, and of equal importance, in my opinion, is 353.03. So, no good reason, as you're probably well aware, to be short Tesla right now. If you got short in the low 350s, you may already be out. You may already have reversed, but if you haven't, this is your signal to do so. And if you can if the market gives you the opportunity to buy the 351.39 to 353 even range of support today, that is a solid buy opportunity up to 383.76 this week. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks with present volatility, by the end of June at the latest, 427.01, which is the low of the all-time high on the daily chart. Sorry about that. The low of the high, that was a key reversal high. That's a significant low. You can just see that there was a lot of play here back in January as well. So 3 to 5 weeks or sooner, closing above 383.76 over the next few days within a couple of weeks. 427.01. This is kind of our near term 483.76 to midterm 427.01 outlook above the low 350s. It's about as simple as that. Upside, we've got minor points, all very tradable, but it really is 383.76 that you're holding out for. If you went long on Tuesday, and I'm talking to 3 to 5 day swing traders, you're holding out for 383.76. And if you're a 3 to 5 week swing trader, you're holding out for 427.01. And once again, if we close today, for instance, above 383.76, we should, inside of 2 weeks, reach the 427.01 target. Now, longer term, holding above 353 even and closing the week Friday above 352.06, will maintain a 514.43 longer-term target that I think is in reach by the end of the year. So this is kind of the big picture. This is kind of investment grade analysis, if you will, a longer-term investment. People who hold Tesla for the longer haul, or in this situation over the next, say, half year, that's what we see here is the settlement above 352.06 should yield 514.43 by the end of the year, where we could top out well into 2026. Now for the downside, if we fall back and close below 351.39, that is a buy signal rejection in two respects. And so it's kind of a double buy signal rejection, which is in essence a valid sign of weakness. And what I would anticipate possibly within the day would be 335.33. That is a rising channel bottom that we have yet to actually test. I will simply say that closing below 335.33 should yield over the next 3 to 5 weeks. We'd be back to anticipating the 268.70 rising channel bottom, but there definitely are tradable levels on the way down. Day traders can certainly make use of 335.33. In fact, if for whatever reason, overnight trade, we happen to open below 351.39, and it is possible. And if we did, 335.33 in reach today on a daily basis. And we can bounce here. On a daily basis, we could bounce perhaps back up to and above the low 350s. So if we spike below the low 350s test 335.33. By the closing bell, we could still close above 353 even, which would maintain the buy signal that I outlined here earlier in the video. But, you know, closing below 351.39, 335.33 in reach tomorrow at the latest. You know, there's a couple of ways to play this. I think just closing below 351.39 is sell signal enough. In other words, you can play the short side. You can play the short side for the day down to 335.33, down to 304.38 over the next week or two. And as I said earlier, I do think the 268.70 channel bottom in reach within 3 to 5 weeks of closing back below 351.39. Now, if you're looking for a secondary sign of weakness, you know, closing below 351.39 is just not good enough for you, and I understand that. That is, you know, you're just kind of stepping out, playing the short side below 351.39. If you're not convinced of downside follow through on the heels of that settlement below 351.39, just know that closing then, say the next day below 335.33 is a secondary sign of weakness that should, within 2 to 3 weeks of closing below 335.33, yield 268.70. And of course, on the way down, we will not ignore 304.38 for its ability to contain weekly lows. If we close below 351.39, I believe by the end of next week, we test 304.38. But for those of you who will hold out for the settlement below 335.33, this is then just a 3 to 5 day sell signal down to 304.38. So, you know, if you're looking at kind of the big picture, if you're looking, you know, through the rest of the week, if you're looking through the month of June, there's nothing to do but be long Tesla. We have a buy signal that should yield these levels over the next 3 to 5 days and 3 to 5 weeks. And in terms of playing the short side, it could very simply just be a settlement below 335.33. And then you've got several signs of weakness, several sell signals that should then yield 268.70 within 2 to 3 weeks, where we could bottom out by that point in time through the month of July. Is there anything else that needs to be said? I do not believe so. We've got 2 stock picks coming out this week. In fact, I think we're going to do 2 on Wednesday alone. So check us out at wickedstocks.com. Take advantage of our 5-day free trial, where we also offer daily triple Q and daily SPY analysis, weekly Apple stock analysis, etc., etc. I'll be back tomorrow, of course, with Thursday's Tesla. You have a great day.